Good morning, Chloe. My name is Kaylee and I will be your nurse today. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Before we begin, I'm going to come over here and take your height and weight.
Do I start on the scales?
Yes, step on the scale. Alright. Your current weight is 117 pounds. Alright, now for your height, I'm going to have you stand up against the wall, feet flat, up against. Alright. You are currently 5'5". Alright, so I'm going to have you come over here and take a seat. As the person sits, stands, and walks, you must look at their posture, mobility, or any noticeable deformities. Wash hands before entering the room. When washing your hands, make sure that it's long enough so that you kill all the germs before entering and exit the patient's room. A normal allotted time for washing one's hands is singing the happy birthday song at least 2 times. So today you're here for your yearly physical examination?
Yeah.
Alright, so before I begin, first I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
Do you or your family have any history of any health problems or any diseases that you know of?
Not that I know of.
How old are you?
18.
Have you been experiencing any changes in your diet since the last visit?
No.
Any surgeries, injuries, operations that you know of?
No.
Are you on any medication?
No.
Do you have any allergies?
No.
Have you been experiencing any mood swings or behavioral changes?
No.
When asking the patient questions, it's important for a nurse to look and note their level of consciousness when answering questions, their skin color, facial features, body posture, nutritional figure, personal hygiene, their speech when answering questions, how they're dressed, and their hearing. Okay, well now I'm going to be taking your temperature.
Okay.
So let's just stick this under your tongue. Beep! Alright, your temperature is normal. It's 97 degrees.
Okay. Is that good?
Yes, because your temperature is within the normal limits because the range of temperature goes from 96.4 to 99.1 and the normal body temperature is a good 98.6.
So why do you have to take my temperature?
Well, we take your temperature to make sure that it's not above or below the normal range. Let's say your temperature is too high, you could have an infection.
Oh, that's interesting.
Alright, so now I'll be taking your radial pulse. If you could just hand me that pillow, we'll place it under your arm to make sure your arm stays relaxed. Alright, your pulse is 80 beats per minute. The normal pulse range is from 60 to 100, 80 being the perfect number for a pulse. If a nurse doesn't feel a pulse, they need to push down hard on the patient's radial pulse and then lift up slowly until they feel a pulse. When taking a patient's radial pulse, you look, listen, and feel for rhythm, which is regular or irregular, force, number scale, with 1 being dehydrated, 2 plus, which is normal, rate, and elasticity. Pulse force is on a scale from 1 to 3. When pushing on the veins, you note if they are stiff or normal feeling. You also have to note if there are any wiry or spongy veins. Also, you take a person's pulse for 30 seconds and then multiply by 2, but you also need to note the patient's respiratory rate. Alright, well your pulse was good. I was also counting your respiratory rate, and you have 16 breaths per minute, which is good because the normal range is from 10 to 20 breaths per minute.
Okay.
When watching a patient's respiratory rate, count for 30 seconds and multiply by 2. Be sure to note the patient's posture and chest movements while breathing. Patient's posture, like they are leaning over to breathe in a tripod position or are using their accessory muscles, are not normal. But lastly, I'm going to be taking your blood pressure, so I'm going to need you to put both feet flat on the floor and put the pillow on your lap again and hold your arm and at arm level. All right, your blood pressure is 100 over 60.
Is that good?
Yes.
So what do the numbers mean?
Okay, well the top number is the systolic pressure, which is how hard the heart pumps, and the bottom number is the diastolic pressure, which is the pressure of your heart at rest.
Okay.
And the 100 over 60, which is your blood pressure, is within the normal limits because a good normal blood pressure is 120 over 80. So you're healthy, and I will see you next year.
Okay, thank you for that.
When taking blood pressure, the cuff has to be wrapped around 2 inches above your brachial pulse. Make sure the cuff is placed with the arrow pointing to the brachial artery. The cuff size should be 60% covered from your shoulder to your elbow, and the Velcro needs to be totally covered 80% of your arm. And then you use the bell of your stethoscope and place it under the cuff. Make sure that before you take their blood pressure, you feel for a pulse and pump the cuff up until you can't feel the patient's pulse anymore, and then add another 30 when you go to actually take their blood pressure. Also, when taking a person's blood pressure, make sure that you take off their clothes on that part of their arm. Make sure the patient's feet are flat on the ground and that their palms are up and their arm is at heart level.